Today we are picking up in verse 6 of Psalm 65, and David is really penning a psalm of praise as people are migrating, making their pilgrimage to Jerusalem, probably for the Feast of Tabernacles, celebrating the harvest and the provision of God. And this is the time of year that we do the same. Traditionally, we thank God for all that He's done for us. And so we're spending this month of November just thanking God and thinking back on what He's done in our lives in the last several years. And what He's done, if you're a part of Emmanuel, what He's done in our church has been marvelous and wonderful and beautiful, and the longtime answer to so many, many prayers. Our school is thriving with students and a wonderful staff. Our church is growing and expanding, and the ministry of the gospel is going out from the walls of this ministry in a wonderful way. We just thank the Lord for all that He's done. So verse 6 speaks to it. He's the God of our confidence, verse 5, the God of our salvation, the God who answers our prayers in righteousness and in awesome ways. And He's the God of everybody. He wants to be everybody's Savior. And now verse 6 continues the description of that God, which by His strength setteth fast the mountains, being girded with power, which stilleth the noise of the sea, the noise of their waves, and the tumult of the people. They also that dwell in the uttermost parts are afraid at thy tokens. Now that's an interesting word. Let's just pause and figure out what that means. Sign, mark, symbol, or signal, or an event that communicates a supernatural event or miracle or a sign from God. So David is saying that God strengthens and sets fast the mountains by His power, girds them with His power, stills the noise of the sea, the noise of the waves, and the tumult of the people. We'll come back to that. The tumult is the noise of the crowd or a disquietude of abundance of people. They also that dwell in the uttermost parts, that are afraid at thy tokens, that your supernatural works. Thou makest the outgoings of the morning and evening to rejoice. So let's just pause here and break it down for just a few minutes, and then I'll send you on your way. First of all, we're talking about the power of God, and we're seeing it on two levels. The power of God globally, cosmically, over the forces of nature and the forces of the universe. He holds the mountains in place. He stills the seas. He controls the waves. But then we feel it closely when it says he stills the tumult of the people. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes inside of me is a tumult. And the same power, David's unpacking verse 5, confidence of all the ends of the earth, God of our salvation, terrible things. He's unpacking that. All this flows out of verse 5. And he's saying this powerful God holds the mountains in place, and He holds my heart in place. He stills the oceans, and He stills my soul. That's the sense of this. Verse 8, those that dwell in the uttermost parts are afraid of God's supernatural doings and intervenings and miraculous person. He makes the outgoings of the morning and the evening to rejoice. Now let's break that down. He makes the outgoings of the morning and the evening to rejoice, the rising and the setting of the sun, the going forth and the coming in, the morning and the evening to rejoice. We start the day rejoicing in God. We end the day rejoicing in God. And there's a wonderful, powerful, beautiful principle here that I want you to take out. Think of what David is saying. Terrible things, confidence in God. All the earth, all that's on the sea, strong, powerful God controlling all the forces of nature, but also stilling the tumult and the fear and the panic in me. Awesome God, terrible God, doing fearsome, supernatural things in the uttermost parts of the earth, but with those that know Him and love Him, He makes the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun parts of the day where we rejoice. Our day is bookended with calm, peace, shalom, joy, and deep, confident stability. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Do you see the contrast? You see how just blowing through all this, you just wouldn't get it if you didn't pause and think and start making the connections. And really the sentence that continues in verse 8 to the end of verse 8 began, well, I guess the sentence ended at the end of verse 7, but the concept continues to flow into verse 8 because he says they also, okay? So the flow of logic, but it begins back there with terrible things and God answering prayer and God being our confidence. So the God who controls the storms and the forces of nature can overcome the storms of your soul. The God who is fearful to others can be a source of daily rejoicing every morning and every night to you. So think on these things. We'll pick it up there tomorrow, or actually on Monday. Join us on Saturday and Sunday. Until then, have a great weekend.